Welcome to the Women Lighthouse podcast, your friendly guide through all the ups and downs of life. We're here to remind you that every woman has the strength to take charge of her journey and make her dreams come true. Each week, we'll share heartwarming stories and helpful tips from amazing women who have faced their own challenges come out stronger. Tune in, get inspired, and let's start this exciting journey towards achieving your dreams together. The Women Lighthouse, your guide to a brighter tomorrow. Ladies, you're welcome to another episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. It's great to have you on the show today. So, we continue our Balanced Woman series, and today I'll be sharing with you 5 qualities you need to possess as a balanced woman. Basically, I'll be using the story of Esther and Vashti in the Bible to compare both their lives and see the lessons we can draw out from them. But before I get right into today's episode, just a reminder that the book She Can Have It All, written by yours truly, is still on pre-order, and pre-order ends on March 7th. On March 7th as well, I'll be launching my book officially, as well as hosting the first Women Lighthouse conference termed the Balanced Woman Experience. So beyond the book, I also want us as women to gather and learn from senior female professionals who are basically a definition of what I call the balanced woman. And I'm inviting 4 of them basically to teach us, the younger women, what it means to be a balanced woman in today's world and how we can become balanced women. It's something you do not want to miss. You can join virtually or you can join on site. The registration link will be in the description box. Secure your spots. So let's move right into today's episode. Basically, while reflecting on Esther and Vashti, I was able to pick out 5 qualities that you need to have today in this age and this dispensation to be formed and become a balanced woman. The first quality you need to possess is wisdom. Wisdom is applying knowledge correctly in the right way, at the right time, for the right outcome. So basically, it's not enough to know. The question is, how can you put into practice what you know in the right way at the right time to get the right results? And we are in a dispensation where distractions have become tripled, if not more than that. But there are so many distractions, so many school of thought, so many ideologies, and it's easy to just get carried away. But for you to be a balanced woman, you need to have the right set of knowledge. So let me use Esther for instance. Esther, just to get a background story, Esther was a young girl who lived with her uncle, who was more like her mentor or her foster father because her parents were dead. And when it was time for the king to choose another queen, after he had displaced Vashti, who was his initial queen, some ladies were gathered together and Esther was chosen as a queen. But the question is, how did Esther get to that point where she became queen? Through her uncle, she got to know that girls were being selected to vie for the position of queen. She had access to that knowledge from her uncle. And also, when she was in the season of training and preparation, she had a mentor called Haggai who also helped her through that process and gave her the right knowledge, the things she needed to do to prepare herself, to take care of her skin, and all of that. So Esther had access to knowledge through her mentors. Secondly, how would she apply that knowledge that she had to get the desired result, which was to be chosen as queen? Her uncle told her, don't reveal your identity. That was wisdom. So, yes, she had access to knowledge on what to do, but to get the timing right, she wasn't supposed to reveal her identity at the initial point. And also, when it was time for her to appear before the king, certain special spices and all of that was given to her by Agai to use to prepare herself. And she knew how to position herself in such a way that she could stand out not just before the king but before others. So, the question I have for you is, how wise are you? What knowledge do you have access to? You desire to be a balanced woman. In what areas? What aspects of your life do you desire to grow into balance? Is it in your spiritual life? Is it in your career? Is it in your family life? Is it in your health? Is it in emotional intelligence? In your skills, in your business, whatever it is, what access to knowledge do you have in that area you want to develop yourself in? The next question is, how can you apply this knowledge at the right time to get the right results in the right ways? It's very important for you to be able to identify knowledge in the areas you want to develop yourself in, and how can you be strategic about applying yourself. So let me give you an instance now. For instance, growing my career as a women development specialist, I know that this is a space that even if I may have a just fair background knowledge about, I need to be able to do some research and study wide about other women, women in leadership, and all of that. So there came a time where I started seeking for resources that had to do with leadership because I knew that I wanted to interface with women and help women to be better. And as I discovered that, I once came in contact with a leadership coach called Oluchi Seko, and she hosted an event for women in leadership. On my part, it was wisdom to attend that event. I needed the knowledge. I could stay back and say, oh, I'm just following her on Instagram. I can be learning from her. Even at that point, I didn't even know she was on Instagram. But just imagine that I knew, I would have decided, oh, let me just stay back, follow her online. But I also knew that for me to to grow in my career as a women development specialist, I need to also connect and network with women. That was wisdom on my part. So I chose the path of, rather than just following her online, let me get into the same room with her and see what I can learn. And there was also another opportunity to join her mentorship program. At that point, I didn't have the money. But I looked at it, I weighed my options, and I knew that since this was what I wanted, to get an opportunity to learn directly from her, is only wisdom to invest in that mentorship training program. And I did. And a year later, I can tell you that the value I have gotten by directly connecting with her is so immense than what I would have gotten if I was just following her online. So it's important that for you to nurture your life holistically in whatever area you desire to attain balance. You seek for knowledge, but beyond seeking for knowledge, you should know how to apply that knowledge the right way at the right time to get the right outcome. The next quality you need to possess is a teachable heart. And a teachable heart is basically a heart that remains open to correction, growth, instruction, and refinement. So, the question I have for you is, how teachable is your heart? How open are you to correction? How open are you to growing? How open are you to being better at what you do and at who you are? So, for you to be teachable, you must have someone that basically you look up to or that you are accountable to. And that person, you can always reach out to that person to guide you, and the person also corrects you when necessary, shows you areas of your life that you need to improve on, challenges you to be better. You cannot afford to remain where you are. So look at Esther as an example. She had Mordecai, she had Agar. What of Vashti? Vashti didn't really have someone who could help her be teachable, someone that she could be accountable to. If she did, when she had thought about, she was also hosting her own people. In the midst of hosting her own people, they will be gisting, they will be talking, people definitely that are close to her, people that give her advice. When she would had made up her mind that she wanted to defy the king's instruction of her coming to appear before him, if she had reasonable people around her, they would have told her, no, don't do that. That's not a good move. Just go even if you don't feel like going. But obviously, she was the queen. She didn't have people that she was accountable to. But look at Esther. When a time came where the children of Israel were not in favor by the law, and Mordecai reached out to her, Esther also gave an excuse. I can't appear before the king. If I do, I could be killed. I can only appear when I'm summoned. And Mordecai had to tell her that, do you think because you are the queen you will be spared? Mordecai was that voice of reasoning. There will be times in your life that you would feel like you're not good enough, or you feel comfortable in your comfort zone and you're not really pushing yourself to aspire for more. When you are surrounded with reasonable people that can tell you that you are good enough and you have what it takes, you have a lot of things to offer, trust me, you would work towards being a balanced woman. As usual, I love to use myself as an example. This conference I'm hosting, every single person that I invited to speak in this conference are people that have influenced my life. Let me begin with Dr. Ofyong Achibong. In fact, the inspiration to focus on nurturing women towards balance. By the time she asked me, okay, what are you doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? And I told her, she was like, you need to be specific. You need to craft a niche. Building a career in the women development space is broad. You need to narrow it down. And she gave me two ideas. In fact, I picked the first idea initially, but later God began to nudge my heart towards the idea of nurturing balance, because from all the things I told her, that was one thing she picked out. She was able to guide me into narrowing myself to the niche I'm actually focusing on now. Or am I talking about Eniola Peters? I remember before Women Lighthouse started, I just knew I wanted more. And I had a clarity session with her. She got to ask me a few questions and was able to pinpoint a few things I needed to answer. I went back, looked at those things, answered those questions. And every now and then she keeps telling me of how proud she is of me, how I've grown, how I'm doing well. And I'll be telling her, are you sure? Am I really doing well? Or is it Dr. Chika here I talk? Or is it Gracie Ejemazu? Or is it Mrs. Oluchi Seko? The point I'm trying to make is you cannot be an island if you want to be a balanced woman. You must have a teachable spirit. And a teachable spirit and a teachable heart would always look for someone they can glean from, someone they can learn from to help push them to where they ought to be. So look into your life now. Are you living an isolated life? Are you living a life that is surrounded by words of wisdom, wise people around you who are maybe doing what you want to do in your nearest future, or people who have qualities that you admire and you know that they can hold you accountable? If your answer is no, begin to prayerfully search for people and surround your people. Put yourself out there. Don't stay where you are and just be comfortable. Push yourself out there to connect with like-minded people who can help you. Have that teachable spirit, that teachable heart that aspires to learn and grow. The next quality you need to possess is you need to have a relationship with God. This one, Gen Zs will say, no cap. In all honesty, this one should even be the number one. You need a relationship with God, because it's so vital in a world that so many voices are speaking. Remember, this month we're talking about how you can align your purpose and your ambition with God, with what God purpose for you is. So it's very important. You need to have a relationship with God. And what do I mean? Basically, do you have an ongoing intimate connection with God that is characterized by dependence, obedience, communication, and trust? When you have a relationship with God, it just makes your life easier. God can speak to you on areas of your life you need to work on. God can open your heart through His word. And when you learn to hear His voice and can point out areas of your life you need to focus on. What do I mean? For instance, a season of my life came where I just knew I wanted more. I thought about it. Oh God, what can I do beyond my job? There's just this unsettling in my heart. There's this desire for more. And I began to pray about it. God, I need direction. God began to speak to me, tell me, okay, start a YouTube channel. I'm like, YouTube channel to talk about what? Like, from where to where? He said, just share. Share about your life, share about your experience. And I'm like, how? Like, on what basis? What structure? How do I go about it? And why am I even saying this? A lot of people are doing things. In fact, I encourage women to do whatever idea God places in your heart as long as it is right. Don't just be comfortable or be relaxed or be satisfied. Push yourself out there. So there are a lot of people doing things, and people come and put those things out on social media. There's that tendency to be pressured to conform. Oh, this person is doing this. Okay, maybe if I try this too, I will do well. That's why you see some people, they try, do three things, four things, five things. It just doesn't seem to be working. But when you have a relationship with God, God can give you a blueprint. Remember the story in the Bible that talked about Moses, where God wrote the Ten Commandments and gave Moses. How did God work with Noah? God gave him the descriptions, the dimensions, and said, build. How did they build the Ark of Covenant? God gave them dimensions on how to craft all of those things. Working with God makes your life simpler because He shows you your own blueprint for your life. You are not living your life based on what other people are doing or what society expects of you, but what God tells you to do per time. Because when God is judging your life, the Word of God says that your life has been written in the volume of the books. Before you were formed, God knew you and wrote how you should live your life. Based on that, as you walk with Him, He reveals things to you. So it's very important. When Esther was faced with a challenge, after Mordecai had spoken to her, she had that teachable spirit to listen. What did she say? She needed that courage. Sometimes people will encourage you and say, oh, you can do it, you can do it. But the truth is, there's this courage that comes when you know you have God's backing. And that was what Esther did. She said, fast, pray. And in the place of prayer, she nurtured the courage she needed to go face the king. But in the case of Vashti, if she was wise and had a relationship with God, there are times God will ask you to do things that you do not necessarily want to do. Remember Moses, when God says, go before Pharaoh and do this, and Moses started giving all sorts of excuses. But at the end, because he had a relationship with God, remember the definition he talked about obedience. He obeyed God and he went on and he did it. There will be times you'll be faced with situations, God tells you, do it like this. And you'll be like, how? How? It's not logical. You do it, it works. So if you want to simplify your life and nurture balance in all area of your life, your relationship with God is key. Most times we get busy doing a whole lot of things that we neglect our relationship with God. What do you think was the bedrock of the success of Jesus' ministry when he was on earth? He always found time to be alone, to spend time with God. He was doing things, healing the sick, doing things for people. But at the end, at night, he will leave his disciples, leave the crowd, go to one place alone to commune with God. Because that was the source of his strength for his assignment. That was what he needed God's direction on how to go about things. So, having a relationship with God provides you with clarity, helps you refuel, provides you with the courage that you need to take those bold steps. There's so much advantage. If you do not have a relationship with God, if you are not intentional about growing in your walk with God, studying your Bible, praying, growing in stature, relationships are in level. It's not enough to know God and pray casually. Building intimacy, grade by grade, you advance in your walk with God. It saves you a whole lot. And the fourth thing we need to do is it's important for you to be a woman of honor. It means when you value, respect, and treat people, and you uphold principles and responsibilities with dignity and integrity in everything you do it with dignity, you do it with integrity. There's something that honor does, it attracts favor. When you honor people, it attracts favor. When you treat people with value, with respect, you are principled, you are responsible, you behave with dignity and integrity, you open doors for yourself as a mother, as a wife, as a professional. You should be honorable in everything you do. The parable of the talents, where they were assigned different talents, the integrity in which they upheld that responsibility, the stewardship was stewarded to them. How did they take care of that responsibility that was given to them? It helped open doors. Look at the life of Esther. Look at when she wanted to come before her king, her husband. She was principled. She didn't break protocol. She had backed herself up spiritually, but she knew how to appear before him, that he just had to favor her. Even if she had broken the protocol of coming without being summoned, she backed it up in her secret place in her walk with God. She garnished herself and appeared. Before she got married to the king, she prepared herself with integrity, with dignity. As a woman, how do you hold the responsibilities that have been placed in your hands? Do you do so with dignity, or do you just do it anyhow? Even the way you take care of yourself, do you honor your body? Do you rest? Do you eat well? Do you move your body? Do you honor your spirit? Do you honor your emotions? What are the things you take into yourself? Because that is what you will bring out. How do you handle responsibilities? How do you take care of your home? How do you take care of your kids? How dedicated are you to everything that has been placed in your hands? Honor attracts favor. If you want to be a balanced woman, you need to have that mindset to be honorable in every single thing that you are given to do. And the last thing is a heart of compassion. It's important to have a heart of compassion. And what do I mean? Compassion is the ability to recognize another person's need and respond with empathy, care, and action. Jesus didn't do things because of clouds or because he wanted to be popular, because he wanted likes, he wanted comments, he wanted shares. Even he would do things and he would say, "Go and don't tell anybody." He would do things and say, "Oh, go and don't tell anybody." So the motive for everything Jesus did was a heart that just wanted to help people. He saw that he had solutions to their problem and they needed help. And why am I keeping my solutions to myself? I can as well just help them. So in everything you do, how are you providing solutions, especially when you have the capacity to provide that solution? That's what it means to be a balanced woman. In every area you find yourself, wherever you find yourself, you look for ways to be of help, to be a solution provider. And you do it from a heart of love. You do it selflessly. You don't do it complaining. You don't do it with a wrong attitude. There's that heart of compassion to meet the needs of others. And in so doing, you open doors for people to meet your needs. So these are 5 qualities that you need to work towards in becoming a balanced woman. a heart that loves God, a relationship with God, a teachable spirit, a heart that honors, a heart that is moved by compassion, as well as a heart of wisdom. Cultivate these five things, and you're on your path towards being a better, balanced woman. Definitely, there are other qualities, but these are the five things that spoke to me, and I know they would help you. So I look forward to seeing you at the Balanced Woman Experience. Register using the link in the description box to secure your spot. So it's a free event, and if you're going to be joining us online, it's only going to be sent, the link will only be sent to only those that register. Replace will only be available for a fee. So I want to see you there. I look forward to connecting with you on the Balanced Man Experience come March 7th, 2026 on Saturday. Also, pre-order my book. She can have it all. The journal is available as well as the hard copy, just in case you do not love ebooks and you want to read it. It's available, and the link also will be in my description box. See you in my next episode. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Women Lighthouse podcast. We really hope today's episode has given you some great tools, resources, and a boost of confidence to take charge of your journey. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. You can also follow us on our social media handle for even more tips and a wonderful community that's all about supporting your growth. Join us next time for more uplifting stories and encouraging insights. Until we meet again, keep shining bright, stay inspired, and embrace your unique path to a better tomorrow.